Hello everybody, welcome back to Learning Biology. This is Chapter 12, Section 3, Part 2. Okay, so in this section, I want to talk about the pollination and germination of pollen grain. Okay, so there are two parts. 第一個啦, we'll talk about this first, pollination, 就傳播花粉啦. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so when we talk about pollination, we need to know the definition, 嗰個定義啦. So it's a transfer, 或者係 travel of 一個 pollen grain. So first of all, where does pollen grain come from? 佢邊度嚟㗎? It comes from the anther. Very good. And then, so anther is a part of the stamen, right? 係 stamen 呢一個嘅 male reproductive parts 啦嘅其中一個部分啦. Okay, so travel from the anther to the stigma of the flower. 得唔得？去到個 stigma 度啦. So again, stigma, where is it? So it is the uppermost part of carpel. 得唔得？佢係呢個 female reproductive parts 嘅 uppermost parts 最高嗰部分啦。Okay, so very easy. So it's just pollen grain travel from the anther and then to the stigma. So after that, what will happen? 去到下一個部分 what will happen next? Fertilization. Okay, 咁就會發生一個 fertilization， 然後就會 so for the male gamete to meet the female gamete. Okay, we'll talk about that later. 好啦, so first of all, when we talk about pollination, there are two major types of pollination. 有兩隻最主要嘅 Okay, two major types. Major 啦 Okay, the opposite 就個 minor 啦，就相對比較次要啊，冇咁重要啦，得唔得? Okay, so first of all, we need to compare them. Okay, and remember this one. Okay, I'm not sure if I will give all of them as dictation to you, but I'll just put it down first. Okay, I'm not sure if it will be dictation. 唔肯定係 dictation 啦, or maybe it's a small quiz, maybe it's an online task. I don't know. Okay, but this part is important, so please put a star and then mark this down. So just say dictation 5 first. This one is always tested. Okay, 經常性考㗎啦. Comparison between 呢個嘅 insect pollinated 啦, insect pollinated 嘅 flowers and wind pollinated flowers. Okay, just for your information, pollinated, can you tell me what part of speech is that? 係咩詞性嚟嘅咧? So pollinated is the adjective describing the flowers. 得唔得? 佢哋係靠佢哋係靠蟲啦去傳播啦，定係靠風去傳播啦? Okay, in Chinese 你會問到蟲媒花、風媒花啦。Okay, so as you can see, what are the more minor ways of pollination? So 係 water, birds, bats 呢啲咧都會these media will also help you carry out pollination. 得唔得? 或者我哋講 agents 啦。And then when we talk about the pollination, some of them need external agents. Okay, so we may call these the medium. Okay, 我哋可以寫啊。So we may call these the medium 啦，或者 media 啦，係一個媒介啦、媒體啦。Or we can also call them the agents. Alright, agents. Okay, so some flowering plants they are pollinated by insects, 係靠 insects 嘅。咁例如 for example like gladiolus, you learn this word 喺邊度學過咧？就係喺呢個 vegetative propagation 嗰度啦。Gladiolus 中文就係劍蘭啦。Okay, and then there are so since it's pollinated by insect 啦，所以就會叫做 insect pollinated flowers 啦。Okay, and then some flowering plants 啦，例如 for example grasses 一啲草啦，就會 pollinated by wind。Therefore 啦，佢哋個名就會叫做 wind pollinated flowers. Alright, so in the following we are going to look into details about what is the differences. What are the differences between 呢一個嘅 insect 啦同 wind 嘅 pollinated flowers 啦? Alright, so there don't say that I didn't remind you. Okay, so put this down. Okay, so when we ask this type of question, usually there is this line: refer to the diagram, or refer to according to the diagram. Okay, so what does this mean? So try to keep in mind, some of the following may not be observable. Okay, may not be observable. 未必係睇得到嘅，係 from the diagram. Okay, 自己小心啊 ，OK? Be careful about this. So first of all, when we talk about the insect pollinated flowers, okay, so we'll go through them one by one. 好啦 so insect pollinated, as you can see, it's very beautiful in color. So when we talk about the petals, 當然啦 first of all, they are usually very large, 比較大塊啦 and they're brightly colored. Okay? And remember, some of them produce nectar, right? So if they produce nectar, 如果佢哋製造一個嘅花蜜嘅話啦 they will have the nectaries, and therefore they have the nectar guides. 個 nectar guides 就係 lead. Okay, in case you have forgotten already, the nectar guides 咧導遊啊嘛 will lead, the nectar guides leads the insects to the nectaries, which produce nectar. Okay, 記得 nectary 係一種 gland 嚟嘅，得唔得 ？Okay, so a few notes. They are large, they are brightly colored. Some of them have the nectar guides, and they are usually scented. 得唔得？幾樣嘢齊晒㗎啦。Okay, so this is a normal flower. And then, when we talk about the wind-pollinated flowers, 望一望右手邊呢度咯。So as you can see, first of all, can you find where is the flower? Not really, right? It's not because flower is not there. 唔係冇咗啲 petal 啊，唔係冇咗啲 flower, but because they are reduced. Okay? But reduce 呢個字要識嘅。Reduce this one, that means 係退化咗。Alright? So they are reduced, and they look green or dull colored. 得唔得？通常都係 not very brightly colored 嘅，得唔得？ Okay? And they don't have scent and they don't have nectary glands, of course. 得唔得？ They will not produce like nectar. 通常啦 if they are wind pollinated, because wind will not be attracted by the nectar, right? 佢唔會因為個蜂蜜嗰個花蜜喺度啦 and they will attract wind, so that is not possible, right? 所以啦 they don't need to produce nectar and there is no nectar guides. Okay? 好啦，咁然後啦 the next part we're going to talk about the anther. So look at where the anther is. 睇一睇入邊喎。So the anther and the carpel as well. 其實或者 stigma 啦 so we will talk about that later, okay? 第三個位啦 the third one, we're going to talk about the stigma first. 好啦 so where can you find the anther? Anther is inside the flower 嘅，得唔得？ So you can find it inside the flower, and it is firmly attached. Okay, so why is it firmly attached? 原因就係 so when the insect come inside, you don't want it to be picked away. 得唔得？你唔想個 anther 去 break down 噶嘛？你唔會想佢去destroyed 啦，或者簡單啲就係 you don't want the anther to be taken away or even destroyed by 一個嘅 insect 噶嘛 ，right？ 所以啦 it is firmly attached to 呢個 filaments 嘅。咁佢如果 attach 嘅 filaments 啦 when the insect come inside 佢就可以 let the insect 啦係 stick 咗黐住咗啲乜嘢啊 stick 咗呢啲嘅 pollen grain 啊，得唔得？ So the key point is that when the insect come inside the flower 入咗去個花入邊嗰陣時咧 so the anther will give some pollen grain and stick it to the insect. Alright? 好啦，再嚟啦喎，但係啦 for the stigma, okay, so very similar. It's also located inside the flower. 點解要 located inside the flower 啊？原因就係 because the insect has already taken some pollen grain, right? So if it is inside the flower, so it can pick up, 佢能夠 pick up 到啦，呢啲嘅 pollen grains more easily 啦，得唔得 ？Okay, at the same time 呢個 stigma 有啲特別㗎啦，佢通常都係點啊 ？Usually 佢哋係 broad，係比較闊少少啦 ，and they are also sticky，得唔得 ？So as you can see, this area, the top area 最頂嘅位咧，佢通常都係 broader，比較闊少少啦 ，and they usually sticky，係黐粒粒嘅 ，to pick up the pollen grains。Okay， 好啦，但係喎 ，when we look at the wind-pollinated flowers， 當我哋睇住呢一個部分嗰陣時啦 ，so is the anther or stigma inside or outside the flower？ 你會望到 both structures 其實都係 outside the flower 嘅。 OK， 好啦，嚟咯喎 ，and then we compare， 記唔記得 ？So if it is a insect pollinated flower， 嗰個 anther 係 firmly attached to the filament because 佢唔想 they don't want to be taken away by the insect，right？ 但係啦，呢一個情況就係 for the wind pollinated flowers， 佢哋係 loosely attached to the filaments，so they will be carried away very easily。Okay, so why do they need to be carried away very easily? 原因就係咩啊？ They want to release the pollen grain more easily， 得唔得？所以 they are loosely attached。好啦 ，at the same time， 你會望到咯喎 ，the carpel 入邊嘅 stigma 啦 ，the stigma of course is outside the flower 啦，但係啦 ，is it broad 係咪好闊嘅咧 ？Is it sticky? Does it need to be sticky? 亦都唔係嘅喎。Okay, so how do we describe that? They are long， 比較長少少啦。So they are like they they're just like tentacles， 可以咁樣寫啊。They're just like tentacles。Tentacles 係咩嚟嘅咧 ？Tentacles 係觸鬚，觸手啦，或者 OK 觸手啦。So tentacles，so they try to grab the pollen grain from the wind， 得唔得？ They try to grab the pollen grain from the wind， 所以啦 they're usually very long and they are feathery。Feathery 即係代表好似羽毛咁樣啦。They try to catch the pollen grain in the air。OK， 好啦，去到最尾啦喎。OK， so these two 最尾啦。So when you talk about the pollen grain, there's also something special. So if it is an insect pollinated flower, usually 啦係一個 smaller number 嘅 because if it is stick to the insect, it's likely 好可能啦 the insect will go to the other flower of the same species 嘅。Okay, so say for example, the bee go to an apple flower 去咗一個蘋果花入邊啦 so it will take up some pollen grain and it will usually travel to another apple flower, right? And therefore pollination takes place. 就咁簡單啦。So usually the success rate 嗰個成功嘅率啊 the success rate is higher, right? For the insect pollinated flowers. Okay, so therefore a small number is produced. 有一個少啲數量啦。Besides, they are larger 係比較大少少啦，同埋 heavier 嘅。Because they otherwise they are not like the wind pollinated pollen grains， 得唔得？ They are larger, heavier. They are also rough and sticky. 點解要 rough and sticky 啊 ？Why is that? Because they want to attach to insects better， 得唔得？可以更加容易啦 ，attach to the insects more easily 啦，得唔得 ？Okay, and then on the other hand， 另外一部分咯喎，就會講到呢個 wind pollinated flower 啦。And this time a large number because most of them will be blown to somewhere they don't want to be. Okay, maybe on the road, maybe to some other, maybe to human. All right, so they unlikely travel to their destination. 未必去到佢哋想去嘅地方啦。So therefore, a larger number is produced, and they're usually small, lighter, smooth, and dry. 得唔得 ？So that they can release to the air and they can be carried by the wind more easily. 得唔得？可以寫啊。So this one, they can be carried. So they can be carried by the wind more easily. Okay, so we'll talk about this. 好啦，最尾啦 ，the last part is about the nectaries. Okay, 呢度 others 可以改咗佢啦，就變咗做 nectaries 啦。So this one, as you can see, this is not very obvious, 唔係好明顯啊。Okay, so be careful. So this one, we say that the insect pollinated flowers usually they attract insects by nectar, right? They will usually have the nectaries to secrete nectar. Okay, but again, as I said, the wind pollinated flowers they won't have nectaries because nectar will not attract the wind. Okay, 花蜜係唔會吸引到個風嘅。Okay, so that's basically all about the comparison between insect pollinated flowers and wind pollinated flowers. Okay, allow me to very quickly go through them again with you. Okay, and before that, I want to give you some time to think about the question again. So earlier, I just said that refer to according to the diagram, right? So can you tell me, 可唔可以同我講啦？ 根據個 diagram, according to the diagram. Okay, so which one is that you need to be more careful? 你需要小心啲去作答嘅。Which of the following? You have to be more careful. Okay? Or maybe I'll leave this question in class. 我會留呢條問題喺呢個 class 嗰度啦。Or I can give you this guideline more clearly. If both diagrams are in black and white. Okay? If both diagrams, these two diagrams, are in black and white, which of the following points? 邊個以下嘅觀點啦 which of the following points cannot be used as comparisons? Okay? 1 to 5. Which of the following cannot be used as comparison? Understand? Okay? 確保你明白啊 And then answer me this question in class. 得唔得？好啦 so just very quickly. First one 啦，講過啦 the petal. Okay? The petal, they are different. Usually, 就因為點啊？The flower, we know they are large and colored and they're scented. They have nectar guides. But for wind pollinated, they are very dull, they are reduced, and they are green in color. They don't have scent as well. 好啦 and then the next part 我哋會講咗呢個 anther and stigma 啦。For 一個 insect pollinated flower 嘅話 they are inside the flower, okay, and they are firmly attached. They just want the pollen grain to be stuck on the insects. 得唔得 The same for stigma. 佢都會係 inside the flower 啦。而 usually because they want to pick up the pollen grain more easily 所以 they are usually gross and sticky. 好啦 on the other hand 相反喎 when we talk about 呢個 wind pollinated 佢哋係 hang outside the flower 嘅啦 and they're loosely attached. Therefore 就可以 release 呢個 pollen grain more easily 啦。好啦 for 呢個 for 呢個 stigma 啦 they are also outside the flower. 但係啦 how do we describe shape? 點樣形容佢啊 They want to pick up the pollen grain in the air more easily. 所以佢哋係 usually long 啦 and feathery 嘅。Okay? 好啦 and then we talk about the pollen grain 嘅 feature 啦 pollen grain 都有啲特別嘅喎。如果係一個 if it is an insect pollinated flower 啦 it will be smaller number. 通常都係 larger and heavier 啦 at the same time 從而 to help them stick 或者 attach to insects 啦 so they are usually rough. 你會留意到個 surface 係 rough 同埋呢個 sticky 嘅。但係咯 when we look at the wind pollinated flower usually larger number 啦 because most of them may not be able to reach the stigma. Alright? They are small, lighter, so it will be easier to be carried by the wind 啦。呢度寫咗啦。And they're usually smooth and dry. 得唔得？好啦 the last part is about the nectaries 啦。咁呢個好簡單啦。If there is nectar, they will attract the insects. If there is no nectar, they will not attract the insects. Okay, so that's all for this part. I would like to talk a bit about this one, very just for fun, usually. Okay, so this extended learning. 咁其實 there are other means. 呢個 means 係咩意思咧 ？That means 唔係代表呢個 means 係代表方法。That means methods. Alright, so 寫低啦。So other means of attracting insects 其實有其他方法嘅喎。Alright, so as I said, some of them are scented, but they may not be well scented. 未必係好聞嘅。Okay, so this one is a corpse flower, 絲花啦。Okay, so this one 或者有人講係霸王花嘅。So it depends on which Chinese you are more familiar with. Okay, so they have a rotting smell. Rotting 即係代表係呢個腐臭啊。Okay, 一啲腐爛嘅肉啦。Okay, so some meat is decaying, and they give out the smell of a decaying meat to attract 呢個咩啊 They attract flies. So they don't attract bees. Alright. 好啦 another one 啦 This one is very special 嘅。咁 this one is called a bee orchid. OK 讀啦 orchid. Orchid 係蘭花嚟嘅。Alright. So bee orchid, why is it called that? Because it mimic 即係代表一個嘢啊。mimic 係代表佢扮儀態啊。Just like pretend. OK 佢假扮咗咩啊 The shape of your female bees. Okay, therefore they will attract male bees to mate with them 啦。And when they mate with them，當佢係同佢 係 carry out 一個 sex 嗰陣時啦，佢哋就會they will use this method to pollinate the flowers 嘅，所以我哋就會叫 bee orchid 啦，得唔得？ So as you can see, this one, especially this area, is very much looking like a female bee, 得唔得？ Okay, and some of the flowers they bloom at night， 其實有原因嘅 ，so that therefore there will be less competition, alright? But when they bloom at night, of course, there will be less bees or less butterflies， 得唔得？其實唔會有咁多蝴蝶啊、蜜蜂咁樣咯 ，and they will use this very excellent scent， 有一個好香嘅味啦，去 attract moths。moths 就係指蛾蟲啊 ，OK， 即係飛蛾啦 ，OK， 呢個就叫 epiphyllum 曇花 ，OK， 中文都成日講曇花一現啦。So this is just for fun and to let you know. 好啦 and then the next part we are going to talk about the self-pollination. I guess I cannot talk about the germination, but let's move on for this part first. 好啦 so when we talk about pollination, there are two types. 其中一種我哋叫 self-pollination， 知道到啦 self-pollination and then cross-pollination. Of course, self-pollination 好簡單嚟理解啦 easy to understand. That means it pollinates itself. OK 係同一朵花 OK of the same plants， 陣間會講噶啦 cross-pollination that means there will be different flowers, right? 有唔同嘅花啦 OK so it cross over 去咗唔同嘅花嗰度啦 OK so let's get started. 我哋會講到啦 self-pollination what does it mean? 代表啦個 pollen grain of course they always go from the anther to the stigma, so I won't highlight it. OK 係啦通常 what does it mean? First one 就係the first arrow, as you can see here, 第一個箭嘴啦 so this one is of the same flower. So they travel to the same flower from the anther to the stigma 啦 or 我哋會講啦係 another flower 但係咩啊 of the same plant 可以改一改啊 another flower of the same plant 當然啦 if you can say on the same individual plant that's okay as well okay 好啦 that is self-pollination because they are still the same plants right 只要係同一個植物嘅話 it is so called self-pollination. Okay, and then the next part we're going to talk about cross-pollination. Cross-pollination 咩意思啊 That means they are traveling to a same 定係 different 嘅 flower 係 different 啦 different flower 啦 of the same species. Okay, different flower of the same species. So species 之前我哋講過啦 so species is like apple, orange, and different types of orange they are already different species, right? Species 中文就物種啦 Okay, so why does it need to be the same species? Because 原因啦 reason because otherwise do you think the flower can fertilize? Of course. Say for example if I okay, if a human do not have sex with another human, usually, very unlikely, will a fertilization takes place, 得唔得？如果人唔係同人去交配嘅話咧，冇乜可能會有 fertilization 受精嘅行為會發生嘅。Alright, so don't tell me some crazy experiment. I don't care. Okay, 好啦 otherwise there will be no fertilization. Okay, 好啦 and then so look below, look at the bottom. 好啦，我哋就會講到咯，both self-pollination and cross-pollination, there will also be genetic variation. Okay, again this word, there will also be genetic variation. Why? 第一樣嘢 answer me why 先。The reason is very easy, because what type of reproduction is this? Is this asexual or sexual reproduction? Of course, this one is sexual reproduction, right? So if it is sexual reproduction, there will be genetic variation. 已經有一個 genetic variation 啦。However, can you tell me, self-pollination will have more genetic variation than cross-pollination will have more genetic variation? The answer is 呢個嘅 cross-pollination 嘅。Okay, so we'll look into that. 好啦，講一講翻先。So why will both have genetic variation? Because they involve gametes. 佢哋係有呢個 gametes 嘅，而且啦，我哋講過啦，係 fuse together 啊嘛，佢哋係 involve 咗 fusion of gametes。Alright， 而啦同一時間，我哋會知道 cross pollination 啦會有 more 嘅 greater 啦或者 more 啦呢個 genetic variation。Because 因為點解啊？ They come from two different parents。They come from gametes of two different parents 啊，因為 two different flowers 啊。OK， 好，然後望一望咯，我哋就會講到啦 ，self-pollination 就會 lead to 一個嘅 production 啦，of 呢個 genetically identical offspring。其實 the answer is no 嘅，即使係 only one parent 啦 ，because 講咗個原因啦 ，gametes is involved。OK， 其實佢哋都會 genetically different 啦，原因就係乜嘢 ？gametes 係 involved。When there is gametes，OK，last time we talk about it。我哋會有提一提你啊。Okay, so how is gametes produced? By meiosis 啦 ，meiosis 或者我哋講 meiotic 嘅 cell division 啦。Okay, and when meiosis takes place， 我哋就會有呢一個嘅有呢個 crossing over 啦，有呢個 crossing over 同埋 independent 嘅independent assortment 啊。Okay, so remember this. So therefore, the gamete produced will never be the same. Very unlikely the same. Okay? 好啦, if there's no question, I'll just talk about a bit more about this extended learning. And that's all for this section. Okay? 講多少少 extended learning 啊。So, extended learning is quite fun and important at the same time. 真係比較重要啊，聽聽咯。好啦, so how is cross-pollination encouraged? Okay, so of course, if you are a plant, usually we prefer 因為 evolution 關係啊，因為進化關係啦 ，evolution 或 evolution 啦 ，so usually we prefer cross-pollination 嘅 ，OK, we prefer cross-pollination。但係留意一樣嘢啊 ，be careful of this thing。Just like 呢一個嘅asexual reproduction 啦，同呢個 sexual reproduction 啦 ，there is no guarantee that self-pollination 啦 is worse than 呢一個嘅 cross-pollination 嘅。OK， 即使 we prefer 呢個 cross-pollination， 但係冇一個固定，冇一個肯定啊。OK， 係講緊 self-pollination is worse， 係渣啲嘅，係冇咁好嘅，定 cross-pollination 嘅，咁得 be careful of this。OK， 好啦，so let's go on and see how is cross-pollination encouraged， 點樣鼓勵咗、促進咗 facilitated 啦 by 佢哋嘅一啲嘅 features 啊，得唔得 ？OK，so they have the flowers have developed various features， 有一啲唔同嘅方法啦，去increase 去增加啦佢哋嘅 genetic variation 嘅，得唔得 ？Okay, so this one I've talked about this with you， 啱啱講過啦，自己可以寫低啦。This one is the first one is called the first one is called the unisexual flowers， 得唔得 ？Unisexual 即係代表佢哋係一個性別嘅啦 ，unisexual flowers。So as you can see, this flower will have either 其中一樣啦 stamen or carpel。一係就有 male 嘅 reproductive part， 一係就有 female 嘅 reproductive part 啊。咁 for example 啦，例如係 papaya 木瓜啦 ，maize 啦，應該係粟米。Okay, so you can check this out. I'm so sorry. I forgot the Chinese. Alright. 好啦，嚟咯喎。咁然啦 ，so they either 佢一係就 produce 一啲嘅 male flowers 啦 ，or they produce 一個 female flowers 嘅，得唔得 ？So therefore, if you grow only one papaya tree，如果你淨係種一棵嘅木瓜樹啦，will it be able to fertilize? The answer is unlikely 嘅，得唔得 ？OK， 所以小心呢樣嘢啦。But if you produce a farm， 成個農場啦 of papaya trees， then they will likely fertilize， 得唔得 ？OK，so as you can see， some flowers 啦 ，male flower 嘅話就只會有 stamen 啦 ，female flower will only have carpel， 得唔得 ？So therefore, they must they have to carry out 呢個 cross pollination 啦。因為即使 same individual 同一棵樹啦 ，same plant same flower 啦 ，they cannot carry out pollination. Alright. So if there is only one papaya tree, it cannot fertilize. OK， 好，繼續咯喎，下一樣啦。So the other thing is that they mature at different times. 嗱，呢個有少少複雜 ，a little bit complicated. So try to listen more carefully. 其實呢一啲咧 ，these are the things we learn in university. Alright, but quite fun. 好，第二樣嘢係咩啊 ？The anther and stigma they will mature at different time. OK， 即係簡單嚟講就係 OK. So look at this diagram first. Look at this table. 好啦 ，as you can see, so when stigma mature of flower A， OK， 當佢係 flower 先啦。The anther is sorry. Okay, so how do we say that? So there are two types of flowers. OK， 佢哋有兩種嘅 flower 啦。And then so since they want to encourage different flowers to fertilize each other 啊嘛，係咪啊？咁所以啦 ，so one type of flower 就 only have 呢個 stigma 係 mature 啦 ，the other type of flower 係 only have 呢個 anther 係 mature 啦。OK， 咁當然咧 ，you can see the time， 其中一個就會只會 morning 發生呢樣嘢啦。In the afternoon 喎，就會 the opposite happens， 相反就會發生咗啦。你會見到呢一個啦 ，A 嘅話就會今次係 anther 去 mature，B 嘅話就係 stigma mature 啦。Alright， 咁亦都it can be morning and afternoon. It could also be like 3 to 5 days earlier， 得唔得？即係可能早 3 to 5 days earlier，this will happen. Okay, type A flower 就會 stigma mature，type B flower 就 anther mature。And then 3 to 5 days later， 3至5日之後啦，就會 type A 就會 anther mature，type B 就會 stigma mature。This may also happen in nature， 喺大自然都會發生呢樣嘢嘅，得唔得？好啦，例如啦 ，for example 就有 avocado 啦，例如牛油果咁樣啦。So they will mature at different times， 得唔得？好啦，just to let you look at the photo. This one is not outseed， 呢樣嘢唔係 out syllabus 嘅 ，so it may also be tested just for you to know。好啦 ，as you can see, they are lying flat， 即係代表係點啊 ？They are not ready， they are not mature 嘅，得唔得 ？So this is definitely this is morning， OK？ 呢一個係早晨嘅時間啦，當 OK？Assume this is morning，and then the stigma is mature。你望到嘅 the stigma is mature，and then so this one is type A flower。好啦，但係啦 ，if this is morning， 但係你望到啦 ，this time the anther 係 upright 啦，係企得好正直嘅，企得好直嘅，得唔得 ？So they're ready to release the pollen grain。而啦 ，as you can see the stigma。You really cannot see it. You may not be able to see it. Alright, so they are wilted. 佢哋已經謝咗啦，凋謝啦。Okay, so this one is type B. Okay, if we're talking about this morning part， 得唔得 ？Okay, so the last part 最尾3、4、5啦。So 3 more features， 3個 features 去可學啦。So the first one 我哋就會講啦 ，they have reproductive parts in different position。And this one is tested in the SE or in our exam. OK， 我唔係好記得啦。But this one is actually tested， 得唔得？好啦，咁人就講咯喎。So they are reproductive pods， alright？ 好啦 ，so they have two types of flowers， 佢哋有兩種嘅 flower 啦。咁會點啊 ？They have different position， 但係佢哋有唔同嘅 position 嘅。OK，so yeah， 睇一睇咯喎。好啦 I think it would be better to look at this one. Yes. Okay. 好啦，例如咯喎，so when the bee, okay, so this is a bee, and then when the bee go to the try to get the nectar， 當佢嘗試去拎呢一個花蜜嗰陣時啦 ，when it tries to go to the nectar, you can see that the stigma, the stamen here 啦，就會 stick 咗佢哋嘅 pollen grain to the bee, right？ 好啦 ，so remember this location 呢一個地方啦 ，is 一個 upper 嘅 location 啦，係咪啊？係一個高少少嘅位置。Therefore, when it travel to another flower again, so it will 佢哋嗰個 nose piece 啊 ，OK 之前講過啦，佢哋嘅 nose piece， 佢哋嗰個吸管啊 ，is this long, right? So they will also travel like 佢哋嗰個吸管都係咁長㗎啦。 So they will also travel like here only. Okay, so the bee will go here, and then where will the pollen grain be stuck? 個 pollen grain 會黐咗邊度啊？ The pollen grain will go here， 得唔得？ The pollen grain will not get down here， 明唔明白先 ？Okay, but then say for example, if there is another bee， 有另外一隻 bee 啦。So what is this bee? This bee have a shorter nose piece， 有一個比較短嘅 nose piece。So it is shorter. Okay, so this is the bee. So when it tries to get the nectar, okay, so it has to go lower, okay, 佢 go to the lower part of the plant, 佢要去到低啲嘅位置 alright, to get the pollen grains, right? So after it collect the pollen grain from this part, 一個 lower 嘅 area of the flower 啦 at the same time, when it goes to another flower, 當佢去到另外一朵花嗰陣時啦 so it will only pollinate, 佢會只會 pollinate 到 this carpel, but not this carpel. 得唔得？ So it really depends on the location 係佢嘅地方啦 of the carpel and stamen. Okay? 好啦，咁就輕輕揀一揀啲嘢啦。So just underline some key points, alright? So since they have different types of flowers, right? 所以啦 cross-pollination 就會 carry out 啦 between type 1 and type 2 嘅 flower 啦。So you can look at these two diagrams 啦。This one, as you can see, the stigma is on the upper half of the flower 啦 anther 就係 lower half 啦。但係啦 on the other hand, this is type 2 flower 嘅話就係 anther on the upper half, stigma on the lower half 啦。Very much like this example 啦。好啦，所以啦就會你會望到啦you can see that anther will attach to different parts of your insect body 啦。OK？ 好啦，然之後咯，when depends on the insect 又好啦，或者你 stick to the different parts of the body 都好啦，所以就會望到啦 ，they attach to different parts of the insect body， 然之後啦 ，they will be stuck 啦 to 一個 stigma 係 at different position 嘅，得唔得？所以啦，即係例如 if it collect the pollen grain at a high position, it will pollinate the stigma at a high position. If it collect the pollen grain at a low position, 喺呢個位置啦 so it will also pollinate the stigma at a low position， 就係咁樣啦。OK， 好啦，然之後咯 ，the last one 就會no, this is the second last。OK， 我哋就會講啦，呢啲叫做 self-sterile 嘅一個 pollen grains。OK， 嗰度啊 sterile 呢隻字 ，sterile 代表絕育啊。OK， 或者係冇得繁殖嘅 ，alright sterile。OK， 好啦 self-sterile 咩意思啊 ？So that means when the pollen grain come from the same individual. Okay, so if the pollen grain come from the anther and then it travel to the stigma of the same individual， 即係譬如係 same flower 啦，或者係 same plant 啦，佢哋會 cannot germinate。OK， cannot germinate 係 the flower make this happen， 等得個花決定呢樣嘢嘅。Alright， 呢樣嘢啦 ，this mechanism 呢個機制啦，我哋就會叫做 self-sterile 啦。Okay, so the last part is, if you're interested, please copy it down. So it's a pine tree. Pine tree is 松樹啦. So first of all, it is not a flowering plant. Okay, so this is different from what we have learned here. Alright. 好啦, but how does it reproduce? 點樣 reproduce 嘅咧？佢會有 they will have male cones and female cones. Besides, 咁 male cones are usually are smaller in size. Okay, so they will produce something called gametophytes. So don't care about that, just assume they are sperms, okay, or assume they are male gametes. So they use wind pollination. 佢用 wind pollination 嘅 okay, so how does it encourage 一個嘅 cross pollination 咧? It's like in a tree, the male locates at the lower branches 係一啲矮啲嘅樹枝嗰度啦 and the female locates at the higher branches. Okay, so when the wind blows, 當你風一吹嗰陣時啦 when the wind blows, just assume the male gametes will be blown upwards. OK， 佢就會 blown upwards 啦 ，and therefore usually wind will not blow vertically upwards， 唔會直向上吹噶嘛。Alright， so therefore it will fertilize 呢一個嘅係 other trees。OK， 佢會 usually fertilize 到係 other trees， 或者我哋講啦，就係 other 嘅 individuals。OK， 就會係呢一個嘅 female parts 啦 ，which 係 located on the upper part、upper half、upper part 或者 upper branches of the trees. Alright, so try to just understand this is okay. Okay, so these 2 pages is for you to like so self-pollination and cross-pollination is not that rigid, 唔係咁硬邦邦嘅 alright? So different organisms, different species, they are evolving, 佢哋不斷進化緊啦。So they are keep on improving themselves, trying to make more genetic variations after a long time. 得唔得? So this is what fun about biology. Alright? So this is all for this section, and I hope you did enjoy it and learn something from it. 得唔得? So please finish these 2 questions yourself, and I'll check this in class with you. Okay, so that's all for this section. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.